Good evening to Hawkeye Nation. Corey Braddock coming at you live here from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Pentagon, Sanford Pentagon, and your Iowa men with a much-needed victory over a Power 4 opponent in the Utah Utes and a high-scoring affair on this Saturday evening. 95-88, the final, as you see some stats scrolling across the bottom of your screen. A big night for Peyton Sanford, who ends up with 24 points. Drew Thelwell had 7 big free throws in this one. The Hawkeyes casting their free throw woes aside, at least for this evening, and in that second half, shooting the lights out, shot 66% from the field in that second half, which really sort of overshadowed Iowa's rebounding woes. We just got done talking to Craig Smith, Utah's head coach, here a few minutes ago, and as he pointed out, it's kind of hard to rebound the ball when you don't force misses. When the other team doesn't miss. And Iowa really didn't miss much in that second half. Now, Iowa defensively struggled at times. They gave up 28 points in the last 10 minutes of that first half, and really, that never stopped. Iowa was solid defensively in the first 10, gave up just 12 minutes for the first 10 minutes of the game. And I guess do the math. They gave up 88 for the game, which means they gave up, 76 in the final 30 minutes of gameplay. So certainly things to improve upon. These are two good offenses. And a couple of mismatches, I think, especially with Seydou Traore not available today, there's going to be more mismatches down the stretch. Did talk to Fran McCaffrey. We'll get this out of the way right away. I did talk to Fran post-game, asked him about Seydou's status moving forward, specifically a timeline. And you can watch it over on the Sanford Pentagon YouTube channel. They are posting the press conference video here in a little bit, but basically, the response I got from Fran was, would not be surprised if he misses the next game. So if you want to read into that, you can. But that was what he said. I will not be surprised if he misses the next game. So that really doesn't answer. I know there's rumors circulating out there on the message boards and on social media about Seydoux and his status with the team, given what Fran was quoted as saying here a couple days ago. So anyways, don't read too far into it. Seydoux was here. He was on the bench. He looked like he was in really positive spirits. He's a pretty low-key guy in general, but he was in pretty positive spirits post-game. I'll tell you, another guy who's in really positive spirits, that's Drew Thelwell. He has been a gift to this team, and he came up with a big night for the Hawks. Again, the starting lineup right now is rolling. I don't foresee Fran going back to the original lineup of Lodgy, Dembele, and going with the two post players. They're going 4 guards, which is hard to do, and they're doing it well offensively right now. And again, 66% from the field in that second half. We do expect here in just a couple of minutes, Coach Gary Close will be joining us here for a little bit. We appreciate his time. He's visiting some family. I know a lot of people are going to be visiting family here over the next week. So we appreciate Coach Close's time. And, of course, we'll have a long break before Iowa's next game when they play New Hampshire. So let's go ahead and add Mr. Doug to the mix. Doug, you're not here in Sioux Falls. You're slacking, man. What are you doing?
A little bit.
Did you think about making the trek?
A little bit.
All
yeah.
right.
We still have a couple games with our little mini pack that the athletic department gave us, and there's as long as you guys don't eat up these cheap tickets, we might go to the Nebraska game or one of those other games here coming up. So
are you discouraging Iowa fans from going to those games?
I don't know how to feel. Like I'm going. Was it? Hey, I want anyone that wants to go to a game to go to a game, but I was just thinking after the New Orleans game about Iowa State, and we lost Iowa State, and the Fran, because you were like, I have no idea who New Orleans is. James was the same way. New Orleans was where Tim Floyd coached before coming to Iowa State. And
some of that was said tongue in cheek, Doug, because they go from playing Iowa State to New Orleans. So that's sort of tongue in cheek. I mean, I know that New Orleans is a Division I program, but by the way, New Orleans got killed by Texas here. Was it last night? So aside, they're not a good.
Well, my point I wanted to make to a lot of fans, Fran's contract goes through 28, and because we were talking about Fran, and I don't really care when Fran leaves, but I want a smooth transition and it to go good. In 94, Johnny Orr had one more year on his contract and chose to give it up because he promised Fred Hoiberg and Lauren Meyer he'd stay all the way through 95. And instead of leaving the next coach with nothing, he resigned a year early and gave up that year on his contract. And they brought in Tim Floyd, who started Transfer U by bringing in Dedrick Wilby and Calvin Cato. But the 50 years before Tim Floyd came to Iowa State, they had 1 Sweet 16. The 30 years after bringing in Tim Floyd, they have 8. So I kind of want that type of thing to happen with Iowa again. 1999, it's been 25 years since our last Sweet 16. We have a good transition. Maybe the next guy like Will Wade brings us 8. Maybe the next 30 years we get 8 Sweet 16s. But we could also destroy the program, and I hope Beth is on top of that because I don't want – if they don't have a plan by 28, we could be in trouble. But I just want that to be an example of a smooth transition and why a coach that believes in his legacy would do that. And not saying Fran should leave this year or next year, but we can't wait till 28.
Doug, let me just slow you down for a second. Enjoy the now.
Okay.
Enjoy the now. Enjoy the win tonight. I mean, we've talked about Fran's thing, but
yes.
I know you love this program, but enjoy the now. And this was a big win for the program.
Only reason I brought that up was New Orleans last week, and that reminded me of Tim Floyd.
I get you. Well, we have been talking about it. We have been talking about the Fran thing. Doug, I'm gonna exit you from the queue. Stay in the queue because Coach Close is here, but I'm going to throw you out, and then we'll add you back in here in a minute.
Yeah, I have a lot of things to say about this game too.
Okay, all right. Sounds good, Doug. All right, let's add in the man of the hour, Coach Gary Close.
Man of the hour.
You're always the man of the hour. You're the well-fed man of the hour. How was dinner?
Yes, dinner was outstanding.
All right, that's good. So, Coach, good to see you as always, and
good to be here.
I'm glad we're talking about a win. That's always good. We're coming here live from the Sanford Pentagon, just on the cusp, or I guess I should say on the heels of sitting down with Craig Smith and Fran McCaffrey and a couple of players. Really solid offensive performance from both teams. Iowa shot 66% from the field in that second half, and as Coach Smith brought out, it's hard to rebound and exploit one of Iowa's seeming weaknesses if you can't force misses. And they had a hard time doing that. Both teams got to the rim at will. We had over 100 points scored in the paint combined. This was an offensive coach's dream game, Gary.
Yeah, no, I said somewhere towards the end of the first half to my son, I said, first team to 90 is going to win this game. And I was correct.
You were correct. And Gary, first 10 minutes were interesting. I thought Iowa's defense was actually really good. They allowed 12 points in the first 10, but then proceeded to allow 28 in the second half of the first half. And Fran was not happy going into the locker room. I don't know if the BTN cameras caught it, but he was ripping his team going into the tunnel. And they came out in the second half slow defensively again. And it kind of felt like one of those games where they may just not be able to get enough stops down the stretch, but it was kind of the opposite of that. Utah just was not able to get enough stops down the stretch. And I give credit to that program because it appears to me, I don't know how much you know about Coach Smith, but it appears that he's a good head basketball coach. They are well coached, and he's got some good players there. The Madsen boys are really good. They got a 7-footer who can ball. They've not played a tough schedule, so it's hard to get a read on them, Gary.
Yeah.
But I think both these teams will be bubble teams in March. I know it's early.
Yeah, I think you could be right. We'll have to wait and see. They're in the Big 12, so they're going to have their hands full. I don't see them doing much in the Big 12, but I could be wrong. It's a good conference.
Lemansky with the super chat. We appreciate this. Lemansky, earlier this season, I had stated that Josh Dix is the best player, combined with contributions from other players and more minutes from the bench. So I would agree. I think I've said that before, that Josh may be their most complete player. I know Coach Smith was extremely complimentary of Josh Dix post-game. Apparently they offered Josh out of high school, which what I found intriguing. Now, Coach Smith coached a lot in the Dakotas. Then he's been at Utah State, now at Utah recently. But obviously Josh Dix maybe went a little under-recruited and flew under the radar on a lot of people's boards. But what did he do well tonight, Gary, besides just the efficiency that we see from him on a night?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. He shoots 70% from the field. He, for the most part, takes care of the ball. He can score in a lot of different ways, and he just keeps getting better and better. He's got a chance to be really good. He's a really good player.
And Iowa, for the game, actually, they were -8 on the glass, but they broke even in the second half. Now, again, field goal percentage helps you. Did anything change? Did you see an improvement tonight? I mean, I see a couple of people here in the chat bringing up rebounding. Good win, but Hawks need to rebound better. Bob says rebounding and defense need a lot of work. I don't really feel like rebounding. I don't really know that you can rip them much on that tonight. I know they got out-rebounded, but I thought they battled as well as you can. And
when you're shooting as high a percentage as they shot, there's not many offensive rebounds.
True. Yeah.
I don't know what the rebound totals ended up being, but I don't think they got blasted on the boards. Maybe I'm wrong.
They did not get blasted on the boards. It was Utah had 10 offensive rebounds to Iowa's 8, and it was 35-27 overall. So
yeah, so that probably needs a little work. That's not a. They're going to be facing better rebounding teams in the Big Ten, so it might be a little bit of a concern, but I don't know if it really put them in jeopardy. I think their defense made the game interesting, but fortunately they had enough offense to win.
It seemed like every time, I tweeted this out during the game, Gary, every time Iowa would make a big shot, and this crowd was phenomenal in the Pentagon tonight, and mostly black and gold. There was a little patch of red in there. And by the way, the Madsen brothers, really good players. They're from Rochester. So, this is kind of an I-90 game for them and their family. They had a nice group of fans supporting them as well. But it seemed like every time Iowa made a big shot, Utah responded with a dunk, a layup, or a foul at the rim. And you always talk about giving up layups, dunks, threes. What was going wrong for Iowa's defense?
Well, I was curious. I went back, and you don't know how accurate this is, but there's some apps where you can look, and you look at the play-by-play, and they were 23 of 33 in layups. So they gave up 33 layups, 23 which they made. They were 1 for 6 in the beginning on layups, and I mean that's a lot. I mean that's a lot of layups. And the scary thing was it was a lot of layups in a very short period of time. It didn't take them much to run their offense, and they got a quick layup. So that needs work. But it's you're coming off of finals, and you don't have a lot of practice time. Defense is where you really suffer when usually if you've got practice, you're in there shooting and doing some offensive stuff, and defense really takes a back seat. So it's not surprising their defense might be a little up, not up to par, coming off of finals week and a lack of practice.
Lemansky, again, thank you for the super chat, and Mark, we appreciate the super sticker here as well. Let's add Doug back in, who wanted to chat a little bit about this game. Dougie, you're getting ripped in the chat. Ignore it.
Am I?
For bringing up the Fran thing on a post game. You're good. What you got for Coach Close?
Well, I would have said it last week, but I couldn't call in. Well, I was about to ask Coach another Doug random question.
Sure.
But no, I might wait till then and see how much I can upset people in the chat about not talking about something they want to talk about. But most of them they want to talk about getting rid of Fran. So I was like, first of all, when they go 5 out, let's go on a basketball technique terms and stuff like that. They go 5 out. The weak side help defender. How far in should he be playing, and what should his role be? I know everyone teaches that a little bit different, but there was a lot of just one-on-one isolation ball. I thought like this, Josh Dix took that guy and he took him to school several times, and they did the same. And there was no defense there for a time. And yeah, I was just kind of wondering, what does that weak side help defender? What should his position be? If they have 5 out, do you even have anyone down there in the post?
Yeah, I think you do. I think it depends on where the ball is. It depends on who you're guarding in terms of what they can and can't do. And then you adjust accordingly. So, both teams are pretty good 3-point shooting teams. So that got the defense a little more extended, and it just puts more pressure on the guy being able to contain the dribble. Both teams had a hard time containing the dribble.
Yeah.
And that'll break your defense down in a heartbeat. But even if that happens, you need somebody rotating to prevent the offense from getting to the rim. And it's usually from the backside. If you sit what we call same side help, then they're just going to put shooters in the corner. And if you help off that, then they're just going to kick for open three. So it usually has to come from the backside, not from the same side.
Was our help side defense bad today? Or it just wasn't.
Well, it was at times it was late, but the bigger problem is containing the ball. I mean, they're really struggling keeping the ball in front, literally almost at every position. So, but that, like I said, when you don't have much practice time, that's going to suffer and could suffer quickly. So they got to go back and drill that a little bit and hopefully improve.
Who's not having much practice time?
Well, didn't they just have finals?
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Hopefully they did their tests, Corey.
No, I know, but it's not like this is a new thing. I mean, it might be an explanation for why they struggle.
No, but it's a tough time of the year. Trust me.
I get it.
You got half the team there, and
and
it's that's why you see upsets this time of the year. I mean, look what Ohio State did to Kentucky.
Yep, saw that.
That's a huge upset. So
mixed
it
bag.
happens this time of year because you just don't have a lot of practice time and you're distracted and ready to go home for Christmas. And so those kind of things can happen. So that's why it's a good win. A decent team, and you've had a break, and the last thing you want to do is go into Christmas with a loss. So it's a good win.
Another defensive question, because a lot of people are really loving Lodgy. He got 20 minutes today. I still think, he got a lot of improvement. Someone tried to say he's better than Owen. That I can't have you say. Owen had 3 blocks still in this game despite the fouls. But my question with Lodgy, and because they were going 5 out and they run that high ball screen. One, do you think Logie plays that right? Or I don't know how much you watched how he played that. There was a lot of times that guy was rolling and he was wide open. You know what I'm talking about, Coach, off that high ball screen?
Yeah, that happened a lot. It's it's a question of how what your philosophy is on how to guard ball screens. So there's a number of different ways to do it. So teams will see that and they'll see, like, they got Wisconsin coming down the pike here a little bit. I guarantee you'll see a lot of ball screens from that team off of that tape. They've got to shore that up too. But again, that's the same thing. If you don't have a lot of practice time and a lot of repetition, that stuff will suffer.
How much are they together over this next week, Gary? Give us an idea of what the next week looks like over Christmas break.
Well, when do they play next?
They play on the 30th, which is
30th, so they'll probably have them come back the 27th, I would guess.
That's a week from Monday. That's a long time off.
A week from Monday?
A week from Monday.
Maybe not that much then. I mean, 26th or 27th, they're probably going to let them be home for Christmas. They're not playing till the 30th. So maybe they have them come back on the 26th of the night or Christmas night, maybe.
Okay. Doug, anything else?
Well, I have a lot more, but again, I don't want to be too long with it. Just that, I think this I don't know if this will be a quad 1 win. Someone asked about that. That's a neutral site top 50. I think it could be. I really think that from here on out, 20-11 was what I said would get them in the tournament. I still believe that. Right now they'll finish the non-conference and go into January 10-3. And I think there's a lot of hope. I still wish that we get answers about Seydu. I think that's what this team might be, both from a defensive post and from a rebounding position. Some of this team is definitely missing. And we wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And we'll talk about Fran's future later on. Okay.
And Doug, real quick, you heard what I said. Fran responded when I asked him about Seydu, correct? You heard that?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Listen to his response, because I know people were reading into what he said the other day. That means Seydu's entering the transfer portal.
Yep.
I don't know that, Fran just sometimes gets grumpy in press conferences, for lack of a better way to describe it. You know this, Doug. You've seen, even some interactions between him and I where he just doesn't want to answer questions, and that's his prerogative. I'm just saying, I don't know that means Seydu's hopping in the portal at next opportunity, but I get it. This is the day and age where guys do just check out if they are not happy. So,
that's one of my other questions. And Coach, you might not know the current rules, or you might have different rules. He traveled with the team, but he didn't travel with the team on their last game to Michigan. Am I getting that right? Is it consistent? You travel with the team if you're injured and rehabbing? I don't know if different trainers do that differently, but I was kind of curious about that because that seemed inconsistent what they did with him, and because I thought it was a positive sign to see him on the bench. And you should always be with your team, right?
Yeah, it depends on, most of the time I'd say that'd be the case. It depends. Sometimes they want to keep guys at home so they can get more rehab in than they can on the road. That would probably be the only reason. Or academically, stay home and not miss class and stuff like that. But for the most part, they're going to go to be a part of the team.
Real quick, Riley Mulvey did not travel, was told he was sick. So there's the difference between Seydu and Riley. Now, Seydu did not have a boot on or anything like that I could see. So they need him back. And I would think if he's not back by the time they start Big Ten play back up, there's a real concern, because you get 10 days off and they play New Hampshire. They don't need him for that game. Get him back for the start of Big Ten play, because they're going to need him. But how big, I know you alluded to how this is a significant win. We don't know how good Utah is going to be. It's a neutral court. But how big is this win, given the fact that their only other Power 4 win in the non-conference has been Wazoo? They blew an opportunity against Iowa State. They had an early Big Ten opportunity on the road against Michigan that it couldn't close out. How big was this tonight?
Well, I think it would have been a lot worse if they lost. I think that would have hurt them more than maybe the win will help them. But a lot of it will depend upon how Utah plays the rest of the year. I wasn't overly impressed with them, but they could very well be a they could come on and have a nice year. It's a tough league to do that in, but a loss would have been a lot worse. So it's all going to come down to what they do in the Big Ten. They're going to have to win some games there to get themselves in position.
Price Sanford, I thought, really struggled defensively. You were talking about dribble penetration. I mean, his guys just driving by him at will. But it's across the board. It's not just Price.
Yeah.
And was there anything that materially changed that you could see from the first 10 minutes of the game to the rest of the game? Did Iowa play better defensively and stay in front of people in that first 10 minutes?
That's a good question. I didn't get there right for the beginning of the game, so I probably missed the first 3-4 minutes of the game and was running back and forth, kind of peeking in. But and going back and looking at the game tape or the description of the plays, like I said, they were 1 for 6 in layups at the beginning of the game. So maybe they're getting better shots than you thought, but they just weren't making them. So that's always the case. You got to look, you look at shooting percentage, but then you also look at the quality of shots you're giving up. And if teams are missing shots they should make, then, down the road, somebody else might take advantage of that.
Gary, I know I want to cut this short for you because I want to give you some time with family, but let me just say one thing.
Yeah.
If there's a positive to be, first of all, good win, neutral court, Power 4, all positives there. I know the defense, there's still concerns about the defense, but I don't know that you can pick too much at rebounding tonight. Again, you alluded to the field goal percentage. That helps the cause. But here's another stat that I think there's a reason for optimism because it's a stat where Iowa has struggled of late, and that's with free throws. Iowa was 18 of 24. You got 7 of 8 from Drew Thelwell down the stretch, and you had 6 of 6 from Peyton Sanford. And I asked both those guys after, that's a big – those are big numbers for a team that has struggled at the line. And this team can – I don't know if you agree with this. I don't believe this team can afford to struggle at the free throw line because we already –
no team really can. I think getting the 24 free throws is good too. That means you're taking the ball to the hoop and you're posting up and you're drawing fouls. You don't draw fouls from the perimeter usually. So offensively, especially with probably a lack of practice time, I thought they looked really good. I mean, they moved the ball, they shot the ball well. They did a lot of good things offensively.
And again, they'll have a nice break here before you hit a stretch of play where you really don't get too many breaks during Big Ten Conference play. So I know this is a time for coaches. You probably get a little nervous, like you said, Gary, around finals time and then the break. But what's your, I guess, parting word toward to not to the players, but in a situation like this as a coach, what's your message to your team as you go into this stretch where you're not playing?
Yeah, I think you enjoy your family, enjoy the time because quite frankly, they don't get much family time. The season goes over, 2 semesters, goes through a lot of holidays that they're not home for Halloween or for Thanksgiving. They're going to be home briefly for Christmas. So enjoy it. If they can get some workouts in just to keep their conditioning up, that would be great. And I think most players do that. So that when you come back, if you sit around for 2 or 3 days and just eat and don't do anything else, that's not going to help the cause. So hopefully they're having a good time with their families and getting a little conditioning in while they're have a little free time.
And although the defense may not have been great in that second half, one halftime adjustment that was clearly evident, and you can see this from the numbers, 24 total for the game, 24 personal fouls called in the second half, 8 in the first. And Fran brought that up post-game too. That was because in the first half, he felt like they were settling. They made a concerted effort to get the ball inside, and that was reflected in free throw attempts. So reasons for optimism here and an opportunity for Iowa to take a good win into a break and bounce back into conference play and hopefully get some wins. They're 1-1 in the conference. Right now, their best win from a numbers perspective is either this one or that Northwestern home game. So,
Northwestern won big today. They're a pretty good. They're a pretty good team.
Yeah. And Michigan, that would have been a good win had they gotten that win. I know they did.
Really good. I've been a really good win. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a very close game down the stretch, but Michigan's good. So
Michigan's good.
Gary, I appreciate your time, sir.
You bet. I hope
Always.
all Iowa fans have a great Christmas. Happy New Year.
Gary.
Yeah.
Enjoy your family. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, Corey.
Appreciate it. Coach Gary Close, former Hawkeye men's basketball assistant coach Gary Close, joining us following Iowa's win over the Utah Utes. Let's add our next caller into the mix before we get to him. Shane says, my big Hawkeye wish would be that they somehow get better at defensive awareness. The dunks and layups they gave up tonight get you beat way more than it doesn't. Is it lack of commitment? Well, I get the frustration. Believe me, I was saying it during the game that every time Iowa had a stretch where it was like, okay, now you got some momentum, they'd give up a dunk or a layup, or they'd give up a drive to the rim and a foul. And so, yeah, then there's reason for concern there. That reason for concern defensively has not gone anywhere, all right, as you head into this break. What has happened is you got a good win under your belt, and it appears, at least for the time being, that free throw shooting has been shored up to some extent. Peyton Sanford, 6 of 6 from the foul line. Drew Thelwell, 7 of 8 from the foul line. Brock Harding, 2 of 2 from the foul line. Josh Dix was 1 of 2, but he's a good free throw shooter. Lodgy and Owen have to shoot better free throws. They just have to. 2 of 4 for Owen, 0 for 2 for Lodgy. Do the math. That's 2 of 6. Got to get better production at the foul line from your big guys, especially Owen. He knows that. Hopefully he'll be working on that during the holiday break. Jacques says, is Dembele developing, or was this a mirage? Well, he played really well against Iowa State during stretches, especially offensively. His shot looks better. I think he's playing better off the bench. He was 1 of 1 from 3 today, played 20 minutes. Actually played more than Owen did because Owen got in foul trouble. So that's positive. Lodgy actually ended up with 4 fouls as well. It would have been very interesting if this game had gone on another 5 to 10 minutes. What do you do with both your bigs in foul trouble to that extent? We did not see Evan Bronze. He did warm up. Riley Mulvey did not make the trip to Sioux Falls. He is sick. We did see Carter Kingsbury play a little bit, but I don't know who would have played the 5. I'm assuming it would have been Evan. I don't know who else and anybody else in the roster to play inside. They're a little thin in the post right now, especially with Seydoux out and with Riley out. So they escaped that aspect of tonight as well. Let's go to who I think is going to be our final caller of the night. It's Mr. Corey is with us. Hey.
Well, I go by Ed Horton tonight.
Oh, you go by Ed Horton. Let's see if we can get that name up there. Oh, you're Ed Horton. I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you very much.
Where'd you come up with that one? 2 or 3 beers in?
I was inspired by Lodgy tonight.
Oh, Lodgy. Yeah, Lodgy, Ed Horton. You like that comparison, don't you?
I tell you, he's down low, and he had that little half hook shot, that little 3, 4, 5 foot range, where he goes up with a little power and he throws that little 4-footer in, and that reminded me of Ed Horton so much. And with that body he's got, he's capable of getting in there and banging down low. He's not risen up to do that yet. But that was a good sign tonight. I think that's when we have to get a bucket and everybody's hitting a drought. That's a great way to go in and get yourself a bucket, is to muscle one in. You know, when you can't get a layup and you can't get the post position to score down low on the post, just to get in there close and go in with that little half hook like he did. That was fantastic. I just want to say it was so refreshing to not watch this team just start throwing up 3-point shots and just give up on trying to get to the bucket and just start throwing up threes and lose the game like they did and just go dry from 3-point range. That was such a great change. And so they've learned that, you know, if you're not drilling the 3, don't just throw up 3s at the end and watch yourself lose the game by live by the 3, die by the 3. And then Owen Freeman has got to get better at the free throw line.
Yes, he does. Yep.
he was that was a liability there almost. I mean, it's like a turnover. They could foul him, and it was like, so that
No,
that
in his defense, he missed the 2-and-1 free throws. He was 2 of 2 on the other ones, but I agree with you. No, he's got to make those, because also those were big momentum plays, and he's really good at creating those 3-point play opportunities. But if you don't finish them, especially with a crowd like this in the game of swings, you got to finish those free throws.
Yeah, that crowd was fantastic. That Let's Go Hawks chant was loud and clear on the television. So
yeah, real quick before you go on, Corey, I'll let you say something else. But here, I want to make sure I get this in here because I didn't at the outset. We had Gary, and we wanted to make sure we got to Gary here. Wanted to give a special thank you to our friend over at State Farm. That's Brad Van Meter and his team in his State Farm office in Des Moines. Give him a call at 515-256-6480, or you can visit him online, bradvanmeter.com. He's at 4229 Fleur Drive in Des Moines. Give him a call for auto insurance quotes, or perhaps homeowners, life, and so much more. Make sure you're protected with great agents, great people down at State Farm in Des Moines. That's Brad Van Meter at bradvanmeter.com and 515-256-6480. All right, Corey, we got you back.
And just one other thing that's really an interesting dynamic is when you've got Drew and Brock both in there. Really like the ball control and the just the stability under pressure with those two ball handlers. Just gave them options to stabilize the ball control under pressure.
Yep.
It's really an interesting dynamic with those two. And I want to reiterate it. Not settling for the three. It's so, when they get into tournaments, and there's going to be heavy defensive pressure, you're not going to be able to get those threes off. You're not going to get a quality 3-point shot off. So whether they need them now or whether they need to now or not, it's great to see them going in and getting a bucket down low. I think it's going to pay off huge dividends if they do get into the tournament. And my last gripe is going to be, I know you thought that they played better on defense tonight, but the perimeter 3-point coverage was still lousy.
When did I ever say I thought they played better on defense tonight? I did not say that. I thought they were really bad on defense most of the night. I thought they were better on defense in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Okay, maybe it was a reference to the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, last 30 minutes were not good at all.
Their 3-point perimeter defense is their strategy is don't go out and cover the guy and just hope that he misses. I mean, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
Well, it's not just their perimeter defense; it's their dribble drive defense, their screen and roll defense. Go down the list. So they got problems to work out for. No question about it.
I mean, they packed it down low a couple quite regularly tonight, and were able to get in there and stop the initial penetration, but just. Then it would be an offensive rebound that they'd give up or something like that. But anyway, I'm just really, as a Hawkeye fan, to me, I felt hopeless when all they would do is just resort to pulling up and firing threes at the end of these games, and they, go into a drought, and you're just like, okay, we're just going to bleed to death. Here we go, and for them to toughen up and drive the ball in there and go in there and get some buckets. You know what? That gives me hope for this team. So great job, Hawks. I didn't think I was going to see them come back. I thought they were going to just bleed to death and miss 3-pointers for the back end of the game.
Didn't bleed to death.
And so great job, Hawks. And that's a great sign. Seeing some really good signs of growth. And so I'm excited to see things moving forward here.
Corey, enjoy the next few days, and we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you next time. It may be Monday. We're doing a live show, I think, with Coach Patterson in lead up to the bowl game. So we'll maybe talk to you Monday night.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, we'll be down there for the game. So
okay.
All right, go Hawks.
Good. Appreciate it, Corey. Go Hawks. Ask a Bum with the super chat. Felwell is the man. So appreciate that. Again, reminding everybody to please subscribe if you're new here. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. It would be great to do that by the turn of the calendar, but we'll see what happens. The Hawkeyes defeating the Utes of Utah 95-88 behind 24 points from Peyton Sanford, 16 from Owen Freeman, 15 apiece for both Drew Thelwell and Josh Dix, 12 points from Brock Harding. You also got 5 from Dembele and 8 from Price Sanford off the bench. One other note, Cooper Koch played in the first half, was getting treatment on that right leg, in the second half did not return to the game. I did speak with JR before the game. He was here in person, so that was good to see JR once again. The Hawkeyes and the Utes dominating the paint today together, scoring a combined 106 points in the paint. Iowa shot 65%, make it 66% from the field in the second half, 67% from three. And for the game, Iowa shot 45% from behind the three-point arc. And both these teams shot in the low 50s from the field. Iowa 18-24 from the foul line, which was a difference, especially in the second half. A back-and-forth game. Iowa was up by 8 early. Utah took a substantial lead late in the first and then really into the early part of the second. But the Hawkeyes storm back and get a much-needed victory that will go on the resume come March, 95-88. We're going to be live with Coach John Patterson in lead up to the bowl game. We'll be talking with everybody on Monday night. So mark your calendars and set a reminder on your phone if you can. Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. We appreciate everybody for being here. We'll leave you with a message from our sponsor. Thank you. Be sure you like the video. Tell your friends about what we're doing here, and we'll talk to you next time.
Let me introduce you to one of the proud supporters of From the Hawkeye of the Storm, Iowa Floor Covering down in Bondurant. Now, for the last year and a half, you've heard me talk about this great company in the heart of central Iowa. They've got their tough core, click together, 4.5 millimeter waterproof vinyl flooring, great for you DIYers out there. But even if you're just a contractor or you need a different type of flooring, they've got you covered, whether it be tile showers, carpet. Give Iowa Floor Covering a chance to serve you better and serve your flooring needs. Visit them online at iowafloorcovering.com. That's iowafloorcovering.com, or you can give them a call at 515-379-7000. That's 515-379-7000. Thank you to Iowa Floor Covering in Bondurant.